Welcome back to part 3 of episode 56, and we're now on round 3, part 2 of the best WWE Champion of all time tournament. Before we start talking about those 4 matches, we have to go back and talk about the results of part 1, and those were as follows. John Cena beats JBL and knocks him out of the tournament with 83% of the vote, 35-7, if you want to know the actual vote total. Totally saw this coming, as we were saying last week. John Cena is going to be incredibly hard to beat in this tournament, especially against JBL when he was the one who beat JBL for that spot. And if you really compare JBL's first title reign, it was great for JBL, but in the grand scheme of things, John Cena, he's had about 10 championships, and you really can't compare necessarily the two of those. Would you have voted for John Cena or JBL, do you think?
Yeah, most definitely John Cena. I mean, as good as JBL's run was for that year on SmackDown, the longest run or WWE Championship run in SmackDown history, as you just said, John Cena's held the title a total of 10 times. Although not every reign has been great, a majority of those have been pretty lengthy and have been pretty solid overall. So yeah, I would have to definitely go with John Cena on that one.
And then we had CM Punk beat Randy Savage, 68% of the vote, 25-12. This was a little bit more difficult. We kind of went a little bit back and forth last week, and we had a lot of people that weren't sure who they wanted to vote for. I eventually went with CM Punk because I figured, in the grand scheme of things, Randy Savage had that great championship reign that ended with the Mega Powers and everything, but I really couldn't remember too much other than the Mega Powers storyline. With this CM Punk reign, he's been, obviously, he's gotten over a year now, and it's just been pretty much solid the entire time. There's really no faults as far as the CM Punk title reign.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, as far as Randy Savage run as WWE champion, many decades ago, I mean, it doesn't, it's not the first thing that comes to mind when I think of Randy Savage, in my personal opinion. The only thing that comes to my mind when I think about his championship run was his epic win at WrestleMania 4 in that big tournament. Other than that, I mean, CM Punk's obviously is more fresh in my mind because it's, now.
Right.
But even still, I mean, I think years from now, who would you rather remember as WWE champion, Punk or Savage? It's going to have to be Punk. He's held the championship for over a year now. And I mean, obviously, he's been defending the championship more often than Savage did because they have more pay-per-views now, obviously. But even still, I think Punk has had, because as you just said, he had that one-hit wonder feud with the Mega Powers and whatnot, and stuff like that. Whereas Punk has had a variety of different entertaining angles over the over the course of the last year or so. Yeah, I think Punk's a more memorable champion, most definitely.
And we had Hulk Hogan beat Edge, 66% of the vote, 23-12. Again, another John Cena situation. As great as Edge is, he compares not even remotely to Hulk Hogan for WWE Championship reigns. If you're talking about World Championship reigns, then I have to give the edge to Edge. But when it comes to WWE Championship, I mean, that championship is pretty much Hulk Hogan's.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, Edge, I believe, held the WWE Championship 4 times. I think it was. Was that correct?
It might have been 3, might have been 4. Now I'm starting to think that it might be 5.
Yeah, it was something around there. But even still, I mean, all of his reigns as WWE champion were rather short. Same thing with his world title reigns, but I mean, he was way more memorable as world champion, as you just said, rather than WWE champion. Hulk Hogan had a hell of a reign as WWE champion. There was numerous reigns as champion in his heyday when he was at the top of the WWE. Yeah, so Hulk Hogan, a definite win for that one.
And I just double checked, it was 4 times. Only 139 combined days out of everything.
Oh, wow, that's crazy.
Hogan's got 2,185. So. And lastly, out of the results, we had Bret Hart beat Kurt Angle 24-12 with 67% of the vote. We had a little discussion on that last week because I was saying that Kurt Angle doesn't compare at all to Bret Hart in the grand scheme of things, and I think it was Braden necessarily. I don't remember for sure, but one of us ended up saying that Kurt Angle still put up a good fight and everything, but I pretty much figured that Bret Hart was going to win here. He carried the championship for a certain time period where they really had nobody else, and he did a really good job as far as I'm concerned. Kurt Angle, he was always kind of backpedaled behind the Rocks and the Austin and such like that. So good job for Kurt Angle, but when you get to this late in the tournament, he's got to get knocked out by Bret Hart.
Yeah, I completely agree. Again, I mean, Kurt Angle, same thing I said with Randy Savage. not all that memorable of a WWE champion. As you just said, he was kind of overshadowed by the Stone Cold Steve Austins and The Rock during the time of the Attitude Era. Whereas Bret Hart during the time of the New Generation and in the 90s and whatnot really put up a great tenure as WWE champion when during his various feuds with Shawn Michaels and whatnot. So yeah, Bret Hart was definitely a better WWE champion than Kurt Angle was, in my personal opinion.
That brings us to the next four matches, part two of round three, where we are starting off with Stone Cold Steve Austin against Brock Lesnar. And at the moment, Stone Cold is winning with 74% of the votes. One of those votes is myself. I'm going with Austin here. Pretty much the same argument that I could put up when it comes to Hogan and John Cena. It's almost impossible to beat Stone Cold as far as WWE Championship goes. He really carried that company on his back. And Brock Lesnar was the next big thing, but he actually did not become the next big thing because he left too early. If he would have continued staying in the company, he probably would have had at least, three more championship reigns or something to his belt. But uh, the way that history looks upon them, Austin means so much more to that championship than Brock Lesnar, I think.
Yeah, again, I completely agree. I mean, Brock Lesnar, although the WWE Championship really, got him up there, it really jump-started his career when he first won against The Rock at SummerSlam 2002 when he held it for a total of 3 times during the course of the 2 years that he was there. Again, he didn't really need the championship following after he lost it. I mean, his face turn and whatnot, and in the various subsequent feuds that he engaged in there afterwards. But even still, as you just said, Stone Cold Steve Austin carried the company during his time of the Attitude Era and whatnot, especially as the WWE champion, headlining multiple WrestleManias for the WWE title, specifically against The Rock. So yeah, that's a no-brainer. Stone Cold Steve Austin for this one.
Then we had something that really was killing me to vote this way, but it was Shawn Michaels against Triple H, and I had to vote Triple H over Shawn Michaels. I rag on Triple H all the time, but as much as Shawn Michaels is my favorite of all time, I can't ignore the fact that Triple H has been better with the championship. I loved the one title reign that Shawn Michaels had coming out of WrestleMania 12. That's actually one of like the first things I remember out of wrestling. But Triple H, I mean, you compare that one championship that Michaels had and you ignore all the other ones, which were transitional and really lackluster to say the least. Triple H just blows him out of the water.
Yeah, I mean, looking at this one on paper, it's kind of difficult, but yeah, if you really analyze each of the reigns of both guys, Triple H, I mean, early on is when he was really the epitome of the WWE Championship before he became mostly around the World Championship when that was first introduced in '02. But as far as the WWE Championship is concerned, again, kind of a hard one because with Michael's various moments as champion, as you just said, his first one with the championship was probably his most memorable. But even still, Triple H, his time with the title is probably a little more significant during the various feuds that he engaged in over the during his time during his time with the WWE Championship. I mean, he jump started the career of Chris Jericho when they were feuding over the title. The Rock again. So I mean, there's numerous feuds that he engaged in that were much more memorable during his time rather than Shawn Michaels early on in the '90s.
Plus, anybody who drops it to Psycho Sid, you got to kind of knock a little bit out. Then we had Undertaker against Randy Orton. Undertaker winning right now with 59% of the vote. Had my vote too, although it was a little more difficult than I thought it was going to be when I actually sat down and thought about this. I started thinking, you know what, Undertaker, he had his transitional stuff, but then at the same time, so did Randy Orton. And the main reason I went with Undertaker over Orton was that uh, switch back and forth between Orton and Triple H at, I think it was No Mercy,
Yep,
if I remember correctly. Yeah, and
definitely.
that put such a sour taste in my mouth when it comes to Orton and championship reigns. Undertaker has had transitional reigns, but at the same time, if you look at how he won them too, I mean, he beat Hulk Hogan out of nowhere. It was a cheat, but at the same time, it was Hulk Hogan out of all people instead of Triple H and just being awarded the title. And uh, he was the one that took it off of Sid when they really had no other plans other than giving it to Sid to drop it to Undertaker. And he's had his feuds over the years that have been good. I mean, even the Undertaker and Bret Hart feud with the SummerSlam that led into the first Hell in a Cell, like they have had all decent stuff to it. And Randy Orton's done a good job as well, but that No Mercy title switch to me just puts a real damper in his record book. Who do you think you're going with here, Undertaker or Orton?
This has to be the toughest one that you've said yet. I mean, as far as this goes, I don't know. I'm down the line with this one. I'd have to go with Randy Orton. As you just said, I mean, the '07 No Mercy title change put a sour taste in a lot of people's mouths. But then the subsequent title reign of Orton, the age of Orton, from No Mercy 2007, that October, until Backlash 2008, I believe 6 months later. I mean, he was truly the top heel of the company during his time as WWE champion, although he lost it thereafter and didn't hold the championship, I believe, until the next year during his feud with Triple H in 2009. I mean, he had a numerous reign. Most of those reigns that Randy Orton had as WWE champion came during the course of '09 when he was really at his peak, when he was really going into the Viper gimmick and whatnot. I mean, most of those reigns were transitional. They didn't last all that long. But then he held it for the entire summer of 2009, put on a lot of good feuds or a lot of good matches with Triple H and John Cena. But then again, as you just said, The Undertaker and the way that he won the WWE Championship all those 4 times, I don't know. I'm down the middle with this one. I'm not. I mean, it's probably, from my personal opinion, I'm not all that familiar with Undertaker's numerous reigns as WWE Champion, so maybe that's why I'm leaning towards Orton. So maybe that's why, I mean, I'm going with Orton on this one. But with that being said, I'm gonna have to go with Randy Orton on this one. But I mean, with that being said, I just want to tie into this real quick. I mean, it could be always possible, as I just said, with the possible Punk versus Undertaker match at WrestleMania 29. We could see Taker hold that WWE Championship one more time before retiring the next night on Raw. That's just my personal booking. But again, we haven't seen Undertaker with the WWE title in
Years.
about a decade. So when was the last time we held the championship? Do you know?
Oh, that was off the top of my head, the last one I can remember was his undisputed reign against Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, about a decade ago. So again, so yeah, I think I mean, if you were to win it one more time on his way out of the company, if he was to retire after WrestleMania 29, I think it would be truly epic.
I'm really interested to see what that happens with, because I'd love to see Undertaker come out with the championship again, because especially they're not gonna have CM Punk beat him for the streak.
Oh
If they
yeah,
do,
absolutely
that's probably sitting in my seat, totally confused. But and then we have the easiest vote out of all of this: The Rock against Big Show, and no
not. Oh god.
surprises here. The Rock's winning with 100% of the vote. There's
Yeah,
no
I mean,
argument here.
yeah, absolutely not. I mean, the Big Show didn't do anything as WWE champion during his brief run with the championship. So, and again, as you just said, The Rock was equivalent to Stone Cold Steve Austin in the sense that he carried the company when he was WWE champion. As I said before, he headlined multiple WrestleManias over the title with Stone Cold Steve Austin. So yeah, of course, The Rock is a no-brainer on this one.
It's a real shame that the way that the randomization of the tournament came out, we had to knock out Bob Backlund last round against The Rock, and we had to pick between Psycho Sid and Big Show.
Oh, that
It's
sucks.
it should have been Bob Backlund losing to The Rock right now instead of last round, but that's it for this week for the tournament. Make sure that you go to smarkoutmoment.com at the link below and vote while you can. The votes always shut off at uh, midnight on Wednesday morning. So vote while you can before we get to round four. Round four, if anybody does not follow the schedule for it, will be half as long as this one because we knocked out quite a bit as far as round three goes. Round five is when we will do our little little shout out to McMahon with giving him a wild card shot. But there should be John Cena against CM Punk. There should be Hulk Hogan against Bret Hart. And then the way that this round seems to be going, probably Austin against Triple H and Undertaker against The Rock. So that should be interesting to see what people vote for with that. And as always, next week we'll go over these results and move on with the tournament. The next part here, part 4 coming up, we will start getting into Survivor Series with the YouTube pre-show 3MB against Team Cobra.